Bah oui. Ah bah oui, ouais, ouais.
Comme vous voulez, je vous oblige pas, mais on peut.
Ah non, c'est beaucoup mieux si on
Ouais,
peut.
c'est
Ouais.
mieux.
Oui, non, pour parler, c'est pas possible.
C'est pas ce qui est le plus agréable.
Merci.
Bonjour à toutes. Bonjour à tous.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. It's wonderful to see so many people here at this new conference organised by the Journal du Poids Lourd with all of the different partners and sponsored by the Michelin Group. I'm particularly delighted to be alongside you for this event. It's an event that is going to be dedicated to the digitalisation of tyres, a very topical subject for all of the transport sector, because new technologies for logistics and trucks are gaining momentum to guarantee better flexibility, better agility. And this transformation phase is ongoing in the tyre sector. It really is like a tidal wave. So my aim is to open up the doors to talking about the predictive approach. And there are several levels in terms of this approach. On the one hand, you have monitoring the tyres with embedded technologies. Here, of course, I'm talking about RFID chips and TPMF systems, and also the management of the fleets thanks to software and thanks to measurement tools. Tyres, as a result, are increasingly more connected, smarter and smarter, with the capacity to generate increased amounts of data and to be able to produce information, to provide this information then to the value chain in the transport sector. To analyse the market changes, I'm very happy to have alongside me Thomas Ledoux, Technical Director for Connected Mobility and Internet of Things at Michelin, Ludovic Paquet, who is the Sales Director for Primo ID, or 1D, and Mitchell Dollart from Vilco France. He's in charge of the industrial division. Good morning, gentlemen. So before we get the debate going, can I just take a few minutes to say to the audience, following on from our discussions, I will set aside time for questions and answers so that we can refer back to any points that we might not have gone into enough detail in during our discussions. So, gentlemen, let me get to the heart of the matter with you, Ludovic, because you're very much in the news at the moment. Thank you. Yes, Primo 1D has just obtained 15 million in funding. Congratulations for this, for your project. But I would like to simply say that Primo 1D is a company from Grenoble set up in 2013. You developed RFID technology, a technology that means you can integrate your chips into all kinds of objects, including into tyres. So concretely speaking, can you tell me what an RFID chip is? Not everybody necessarily knows what it's made up of. And how does your technology function? Okay, good morning, everybody. You're very right. We worked previously for the French CEA, the research centre in Grenoble, and ours originally was a startup. Do feel free to use the remote if you'd like to move your presentation forward.
Voilà, on va se caler. Et donc, notre technologie est unique.
Our technology is very specifically unique technology in that we're able to include electronic components, radio frequency identification, RFID chips in a textile thread, so they're absolutely minute, and this means that they can then be integrated into different materials, and we'll now move ahead and talk about that all together. And our business basically is to provide support to industrialists when they wish to implement this RFID technology. So what is RFID technology exactly? Because that was the question you asked. Well, it's radio frequency identification, and so it's a contactless, standardized technology that is used greatly in a variety of industries, and it has one specific feature, which is that it's a solution that means that, unlike barcodes, you don't need to actually read the information. It's contactless. You can read several hundreds of articles at the same time, extract the data from them, and this is all standardized at an international level. So what we do is rely on this technology. We use it as a kind of springboard to be able to produce our solution that is a thread, such as the thread that you can see here. I don't know whether I've got time to go into it. Yes, do go ahead. Basically, what we do is have micro encapsulation of a chip. We wrap the chip up in this textile thread, and this gives it a very specific shape. It's unique, as I said, on the market, and it means that we can then embed it in the core of any type of material. And its size means that you can put it inside a material such as rubber. So one of our main applications is to place it in tyres, for example. We can also guarantee the natural resistance of the product. The product is made up of textiles, and we can guarantee mechanical endurance and durability of high levels in the specific environment of tyres, for example. We can cope with high temperatures, and the tag that we manufacture in Grenoble is one that is non-intrusive when you place it inside the tyre, and the tag is able to guarantee its performance and resist against all kinds of tests, all the tests that we've been able to carry out or that our clients have carried out. And what is possible, for example, is to read the information from several hundreds of tyres remotely at the same time. There are a certain number of points that we can then develop and go into. Yes, so your solution paves the way forward for many different services that revolve around identification, authentication as well, traceability of the products. Is that what we're talking about when we talk about smart tyres? Yes, partly, but it's not only that. As far as we're concerned, you're very right. Our business is to guarantee that the tyre is connected to the cloud, to the internet network. So we're talking about the Internet of Things when we describe this. We have a double digital approach in terms of the tyre, and this means that we're able to perform stock takes, for example, guarantee the traceability in terms of production of the actual tyres. We can also combine or link vehicles to a tyre. We can perform preventive maintenance operations if necessary. One example is that every time we read the data on the tyres, we're able to then link the data back to a database, and we can indicate that in X number of kilometres you might have to change the tyres. That's one of the typical applications that we can implement. But I think we have a lot of friends here who sell tyres who are already present on this market. What we do is basically all about facilitating all the operations you enter into when it comes to income and inspection of the tyres, maintenance work, monitoring sales. It just means you facilitate all of the work that you do. Yes, because you sell tyres on the one hand, but then you also have to do the maintenance work on them. Yes, absolutely. I believe that this is all part of what is very topical, very trendy at the moment on the market. Typically speaking, if we start to talk about the circular economy, we ask the question, how can we manage the tyres when they've reached the end of their life cycle? There are lots of solutions, but what we need to do, first of all, is identify that a tyre is unique. We can do this thanks to the RFID technology, and it means that we can basically have a clear visibility of the tyre's lifespan, what it's done during its life, and what we can then do with it in terms of recycling. We'll go through the different points relating to the tyre's life cycle afterwards, but before we do this, I'd like us to focus on the funding, the money that you've raised recently. Hence, I imagine you're going to be able to speed up your development. Can you be precise? What are the new projects that you now want to implement? Well, there are several stages. I think I've got a slide on this. These are our main pillars. We've got several stages for the development that we want to go into. We know that we have this necessity to deploy our technology, more broadly speaking, on the tyres market. And to do this, we need to consolidate all of our partnerships with the manufacturers, the tyre manufacturers, of course, not only in France, but throughout the world. Question, what manufacturers do you work with currently? We work with all of the major players on the tyre market. There aren't many of them. We all know who they are. There's one big one here in the room today. Yes, absolutely. And we also produce proofs of concept. In other words, how do you include our tag in the tyre? What are the benefits that you can gain once you've done so? And there's also a major investment that we've scheduled in terms of our production site in Grenoble. We've just moved to new premises, and we've got additional projects in order to get even bigger and to set up many more production machines. All of this is something that is ongoing in a context where we know that we're also going to need to recruit more staff. So we have quite a sizable recruitment plan in the company. We need to recruit technicians, engineers, and also sales staff to deploy this technology with our clients. Thomas, I was talking with Ludovic earlier. Michelin, for several years, has invested in these areas like all of the other manufacturers in the sector of connected tyres. You are one of the pioneers of this digitalization process. You've equipped products with your RFID chips for the last 10 years. What made you go in for this so early on? Hello, everybody. Well, historically speaking, Michelin was in charge of providing services specifically to enable their clients to help exploit the maximum potential of their tyres in terms of the tread and in terms of the rubber. So if you're able to manage your tyres individually in a robust manner, you're able to enhance your performance in terms of the follow-up and in terms of the use of your tyre and the retreading potential. So just a few applications that Mr. Paquet referred to. Of course, it starts out with your capacity to analyze your inventory in a robust, fast, fluid manner without wasting any time. And then further down the line, it means that you know exactly what you need to buy in terms of tyres for the next few months, and you can do so in a precise manner, and you won't need to have too many tyres in stock. Another example is when we want to monitor a tyre throughout its retreading life cycle. If you can clearly identify each tyre, you can associate with each tyre in the fleet the usage it needs to have. You can decide, for example, whether it's relevant or not to do retreading on a specific tyre that has already undergone retreading once. So basically, because you're capable of identifying each individual tyre, you can work on the operational efficacy of the fleet specifically for each tyre. You can work on safety and security because you can deploy predictive maintenance solutions, and you can also work on your environmental impact because you can enhance your capacity to use your tyres, your rubber potential, your retreading potential for as long a time as possible. But what are the technologies today that revolve around your tyres, and what are the benefits for your clients? Well, let me stress that our attitude is not to deploy technology for technology's sake. Our idea is that we want to help our clients, above all, to master the way in which they use their tyres, to guarantee safety, to reduce environmental impact and optimize financially what they do with the tyres. This is the case with RFID systems, for example. Then further down the line, we want to use a technology that's not necessarily designed for tyres. Michelin has a specific system that enables us to monitor the wear on the tyres, on the tread, and we can work out when and where it should be done. You have a video for this, don't you? Yes, we know exactly when this analysis needs to be performed. In Europe, on average, for example, even if you monitor your fleet manually speaking, and even if you do it properly, what we're able to observe is that the tyres are withdrawn when the tread has 4 or 5 millimeters left. So this basically means that you're not exploiting the full potential of the tyres. These tyres could have continued to be on the roads, but because we withdraw them from the road too early, we create more waste than necessary. We don't use the tyres when they're close to their end of lifetime in terms of wear. And it's a shame because this is when the tyres don't produce as much CO2. If you use your tyres right through to the end, you produce less CO2. It's better for your environmental impact. So that's the aim of this technology. It's to be in a position to clearly identify each vehicle, each tyre, and to know exactly what the status of the tyres is, to plan the maintenance actions that you need to implement prior to a given date from a predictive perspective, and to feed back reliable information saying that this vehicle in this position needs maintenance at a given time on a given date. Ludovic, a few moments ago, just another point that is important. I think you'll refer to this after this point. What's important is how easy it is to install this technology. We've talked about industrial efficacy that we can improve thanks to our management of the tyres, but industrial efficacy is also something that we can bring about when we deploy technologies to help our clients. Typically speaking, this is what you can see on the video. we're capable of having a technology that you can fit Saturday morning within the space of 2 or 3 hours when there's not much business going on. And 2 or 3 hours afterwards, the system is up and running. You don't need to press on a button for the system to start up. So we're not going to ask our clients to do anything at all regarding this system to optimize its operating. The system, once it's been installed, it works, can be used instantly, and we have no impact on our clients' operations. We don't ask them to not drive on the road for a couple of hours or for a couple of days. Let me refer back to the technology that is embedded in the tyres, what we were talking about with Ludovic. Are these systems compatible with the different life cycles, retreading, regrooving of the tyres, for example? Well, yes, my answer is the two go hand in hand, no problem. RFID technology is very appropriate for monitoring the life cycle of the tyres. If I talk about our technology, it's 100% reliable and it's fully integrated into the tyre. You can't take it out, you can't separate it. So basically, you follow all the stages of the tyre's life cycle. You don't lose any data whatsoever. You can collect absolutely all the data that exists in relation to a given tyre from its initial sale to its disposal. That's the aim of our RFID technology. And if we use the example of Polyscan, that's what we want to do. That's what we're aiming at. We want to optimize the potential of the rubber of a tyre. You might have a new tyre that you fit onto a vehicle. Then you can have a tyre that's been retread once or twice. And optimizing the rubber is something you need to do throughout the life cycle. This technology, we've now fitted it into all the tyres. You've got the TPMSs, the pressure sensors as well. And when we talked together prior to this conference, Thomas explained to me that these sensors will still measure the load that is being carried. Do you think it will be possible in the real time to monitor how the tyres get deteriorated over time? Well, it's not science fiction, that's my question. No, it's absolutely not science fiction. That's why we're working on this technology. It's called Michelin Connected Technology. It's a sensor that you put on the inside rim of the tyre, and we've got algorithms and artificial intelligence that mean that basically, first of all, what we want to do is monitor the temperature and the pressure of the tyre. Then we want to trigger predictive maintenance operations relating to the tyre pressure and the temperature. And then we want to be able to work out the weight being carried, the level of wear on the tyres, the number of kilometres that each tyre has travelled. And this is very useful for specific types of business where the vehicles are very nomadic. They leave their base. The big haulage vehicles that travel from one country to the next, for example, they go away for several days or weeks. And what you want in this case is to be able to monitor the state of your tyre on a real-time basis. One, because it's reassuring. You know that you can add extra kilometres for the vehicle because you know that you're going to be safe, you're going to comply with the standards and the legal rules, that the tyres are capable of managing the operations you ask them to manage. What about for you, Ludovic? How do you see the future of RFID chips? Well, concerning the chip itself and the RFID tag market, it's a market that is growing by about 30% each year. 30%. It's grown 30% over the last 2 to 3 years, and we think that growth rate will continue. Today, there are 25 billion chips around the world. I'm not just talking about tyre chips. And the trend is that by 2025, there will be 50 billion RFID tags in a wide variety of objects. Thomas, I think you could answer the question relating to the tyres. You know, how many tyres over the next few years will be equipped, in your opinion, with RFID tags? That's what I wanted to say. Basically, the market is expanding rapidly. Now, we deploy these tags and have done for the last 10 years in our heavy-duty vehicles, and we're now starting to use them on car tyres. 150 million tyres a year, that's the figures. Michelin is going to equip that many tyres with these apps. So RFID chips are to be seen virtually in all of your products now. When it comes to the digitalization that we've talked about, it has led to many different solutions, different services that can be provided to the operators and the haulage firms when it comes to managing their fleets. Michel, let me turn to you because you work, don't you, for Vilco, and digitalization is one of your main development axes. Can you tell me, how does this strategy come about, tangibly speaking, both for your teams and for your clients?
Good morning to you all. Yep, it's definitely a strategic challenge for us for the future. A tyre manufacturer is not just about selling as many tyres as possible, it's to make them last as long as possible. We want to allow our hauliers, our client hauliers, to have a maximum availability of their tool. A truck shouldn't have to stop because you have to change the tyres because you've got a flat tyre or whatever. So our job is to allow our clients to really make the most of their trucks, of their tools, and to generate as much benefit from that. So these tools allow us to anticipate the maintenance needs for our clients. It's preventive maintenance. But it also means that we can, if there's a crash or an accident, help them much more quickly, avoid any kind of punctures. So it is a definite strategy for us in future. But what's also important for us is it means we can totally digitalize the entire information, and that means you can share it with your customers, with your clients. So in this way, we can have an exchange with our clients on the way that they work, on the way they want us to work with them and what we have to offer, so that we can really get the best cost effectiveness for them. So it's a double strategy for our clients. It's reducing cost and managing security, etc. But we can also, take tyres and use them to their life end and then retread them. We have a lot of different solutions for our clients. Now, for the network, the challenge is also double. On the one hand, it's managing to detect in a preventive way the maintenance needs of a vehicle so that you can maintain its costs wherever that vehicle is and reducing the cost. So for Vulco, where all the information is centralized via the tyres, we could imagine maintaining a tyre from Marseille in Lille or from Berlin in Paris, for instance. If our network is interconnected and the information is shared. So this information digitalization is very important for us. Okay, Vulco has a stand here at Solutrans, and they are just behind Michelin, not very far from here. Take a look. What are the digital solutions that you are making available for hauliers today? What are you highlighting? Digitalization for us has been going for a long time. In 2003, we started with Vulco Park nearly 20 years ago, and we have evolved, and we now have a solution that's much more embedded. Now, the difficulty we have for digitalization, the RFID chips, TPMS, or the Snapchat, sorry, what do we call them? Quick scan. Sorry, Michelin Quick Scan, the DOR, Goodyear, all of these tools that the manufacturers are making available means that no tool is able to communicate with a similar other tool. If I've got Michelin tires, I need the Michelin tags, I need the Michelin software. If I have a good Bridgestone or Goodyear, etc., etc. Different codes. Well, the technologies, Quick Scan, Michelin Quick Scan, are compatible with all kinds of tires, and they've been designed specifically to do that because, of course, our customers do not only have Michelin tires. They want to optimize their potential, their rubber potential, whatever tires they have. Okay, we'll look at interoperability. It's very important. Yes, yeah, we'll come back to that. Sorry, let's just... So the availability of the information is key, and that is what all of the networks are working on right now. We're trying to aggregate all of this data to try and have something that's as legible to everybody. It's easy to use. All hauliers have the same problems. The follow-up software from Mercedes, Carlier, Dolanda, Webco, Aldex, Goodyear. I mean, we've got so much different information, and all of this information is analyzed without being set in a list or priority. So the strategy, the challenge is to treat that, to analyze that information in a uniform way and set priorities. And that's what we're working on. And at Vulco, since last year, we launched a new ERP, which allows us to aggregate all this data and to go from the signature of a contract with a client right up to the end of life of a tyre. We use predictive maintenance, and we have software that allows us to get all of that data and to have one single app for all of this data. So we have an extranet which allows our clients to do that. Okay, so the digital tools are really allowing easier management of tyres, is that right? It's really helping your hauliers and facilitating and making that management easier, more streamlined. Absolutely, that's what we're aiming for at the moment. Okay, now beyond maintenance, we can see that this digital technology also allows for a new services ecosystem to come about on sat-nav, on better driving, on security. Thomas, Michelin has also been working in this direction for a few years, and you have the 5M system. Why did you transform that, use that transformation and change your business model? Well, actually, it happened quite naturally. I was talking earlier about how we had worked on tyres historically for a long time to get the maximum value out of it, operationally, security-wise, and to reduce its environmental impact. But these three things, these three topics, are what we're going to work on and what makes the core of what Michelin has to offer. That's also what fleet management's all about. So very easily, our offer was about applying this expertise to security, to environmental impact, to operational efficiency, but on other items than tyres, helping drivers, helping our customers manage their fleet of vehicles and their operations on a day-to-day basis. So it was very easy and very straightforward, and we are now the 5th biggest leader in this fleet management activity. So I was talking about sat-nav, other services, fleet management. What are the solutions that you can offer to fleet managers? Well, everything you've just said. With Michelin Connected Fleet that we're just launching, and you can come and see us on our stand to talk about it. It's a package, different things make it up: truck plus, truck premium, trailer plus, trailer premium for tractors and trailers. And we're going to help you. And again, it's about security, operational efficiency. For security, we'll integrate the tachographic reports. We'll make sure that you are working and respecting the law, complying with the law, and we'll set up an offer to try and help you with planification, to download an order, select the best route, the one that will save you any levels of fuel and therefore reduce your carbon footprint. And we'll look at managing the trailer and the load to try and optimize that load and have the right number of trailers for what you need to transport. And to get back to basics, we'll also integrate tyre maintenance prediction with control of pressure. Michel mentioned the haulier professionals and said how they're dealing with more and more information, whether it's to do with tractors, with trailers, with tyres. How do you try and help them aggregate and analyze that data and use it? Because that's really what's at stake here, isn't it? Absolutely. It's really a very important issue. That data flow is not just absolutely huge, it's ultra diverse. So if you want to analyze it, you need to have skills in very, very different fields. And that's what we are trying to do. So we are doing it to clean it out, break it down, analyze it, and combine those data together, sometimes bring things together that are very different, the kind of roads you're driving on, the state of your tires, to try and get to an information that's not just one extra piece of information that you are getting alongside all the rest, but something that you can action. That's the key point. Just to give you an illustration of that. If you talk to a haulier and say, oh, you've got your truck going to London in 4 hours, you have a tyre that is 7.5 bars, 3 millimeters, and that's it. You know, that might even make them more anxious. 7.5 bars. Why? Because I have a leak. It's leaving in 4 hours for London. If it leaves at 3 millimeter, am I still in complying with law, with the rubber level that's left, that's not actionable. But if you say to your client, you're at 7.5 bars, but don't worry, there's no leak. If you add 1.5 bars, you'll optimize your rubber potential, reduce your CO2 emissions, and at the end, you will generate fewer less waste. You're at 3 millimeters, but you have Michelin connected fleet, so we know your tyre use. So we can say that that 3 millimeters will not stop you from going to London, to be able to do it securely, safely, to come back again. But if you've got 3 weeks scheduled later for this truck, then do it next week when it comes back from London. So that is what data analysis is all about, and that is what connected fleet at Michelin is all about. Ludovic, how do you fit into all of this between these different actors, the manufacturers, the IT, etc.? Well, we are just one hoop in the chain. I mean, one link. We bring together what's physical and the cloud. So the data processing, the information that we get from the tyre is analyzed in our IT department in Michelin. So we're at the heart of all of this, but at the same level as the needs, the IT needs, the app needs, etc. We have those same needs, and that's a part of the work that we're doing. We don't work alone, single-handedly. We work within an ecosystem, always as a team. Yeah, I absolutely agree with what's been said, and that's exactly what we are trying to do and what we've been trying to do for years with the IT tools and the telematics that we have. We can do that even more productively and thoroughly. Thank you, gentlemen. So we've reached the end of this conference, and we have a few minutes. So if you have a few questions, please ask now. Good morning. I have a question for Ludovic. The chips. It's a question that's also... I'll start again. A double question. The first is on the RFID chips. Is there a limit to how much information we can store on those chips? Second question, is it possible today to write on them? Third question for Mr. Ledoux. How much information are manufacturers going to share on those chips? I think there is some sensitive data, maybe. From a manufacturer's point of view, I don't know if we can share data such as the level of rubber, the depth of rubber that can be useful for predictive maintenance. But, you know, interoperability, sharing data, equipping fleets everywhere, I think it might be useful to think about that. Sorry, I've asked several questions. Well, on the chip, according to its characteristics, there you can store 96 to 128 bits. That's not that much. So you'll be able to identify the manufacturer, have a series number, an article number, and that's about all. It's standardized on the market. It's what we call the PC, the code product, the CP. There's no other data, I think private data on an RFID chip. It does not exist, but there is a link to a database, and so there are filters in place to avoid any kind of other information, but there isn't on the RFID chip. Now, the second question, I think, can you repeat it? Can we write on it? Well, yes, you can. It slows operations down a bit. It's not really that useful if you've got a lot of articles. It's best to manage information on a database, and that's what you do. Absolutely. The aim of RFID is to produce a unique identification code and to generate information that we will stock in the cloud, store in the cloud. And we are working on diffusing this technology to more and more tyres, including our competitors and rivals. We have various actions underway to do that because the market is our client, and we want all of our clients to be able to use this identification method to get better maintenance, whatever kind of tyre you are using, and make sure it's compatible with the service offers that we all are offering. That's best for our clients. But as far as sharing data goes, I know we could have many discussions on this, but of course we need to continue those discussions, and that's what we're doing together to try and share data that's for the benefit of our clients operationally, reduces the impact on the environment, and this is something that is happening, I would say. Do you have your answers? Not completely? Okay. Okay. Any other questions in the room? No? Okay. So that means we've been very clear. So thank you very much for your participation this morning. Thank you very much to the SPP and our sponsors, Michelin, and the SOLUTRANS Trade Fair, who has hosted this conference. Thank you very much, you, for coming. And I'd like to take this opportunity that we're organizing other conferences on tyres with the SPP until the 19th of November. So please don't miss them. And have a great day. Thank you.
Merci à tous.